Hello, buds. From an easy way to deal with pesky, stronger spiders to never worrying about light or temperature again, here's 34 things I wish I knew before I started playing Don't Starve Together. Number 1. You don't have to wait until daytime to feed a caged bird. A huge problem I had when moving from Don't Starve to Don't Starve Together is that birds sleep in cages and are unable to be fed while they are sleeping. And because I like to use nighttime as my base work and cooking time, this inconveniences me greatly. A way around this is to simply take the bird out of its cage and put it back in, and then if you immediately feed it, you can get a few eggs before needing to repeat the process. Is it annoying? Yes, but it's much better than waiting until morning, especially on those long winter nights. Number 2. Certain items are more fuel efficient than their components. Fuel for fires is usually never something you think about in Don't Starve Together. I mean, logs are everywhere, but what if one day you forgot to refill your log pile? Well, some crafted items are actually much better in terms of fuel than their components. For example, a straw roll will light a fire pit for 3 entire minutes, but its raw ingredients, which is 6 grass and 1 rope, would only light that fire for 2.5 minutes, meaning this recipe gives you 30 extra seconds of light in a pinch. It's not a lot of extra light, but if all you have is grass, it could save you in a pinch, and it is a good thing to keep in your mind. Remember that this can go both ways, or rather no ways at all. Boards, for example, unless you're playing as Woody with 3 logs per board skill, do not provide any extra fuel. And an example of a bad trade-off for fuel would be wooden walls. So just do some research if you want to find the best value thing. Or, just use logs. It's not horrible to use logs, and min-maxing fuel isn't exactly something that you have to do. I guess this tip is more just try not to waste fuel. I could have worded it better. Number 3. Traps are useful for more than just rabbits. For most players, traps are there to serve as a way to get rabbits, whether for food or to get your hands on a prestidigitator. But what if I told you that traps actually can be used for much, much more? For example, one trap will instantly defeat any type of spider you may come across. Now at first you may be thinking, oh, well, spiders aren't actually that hard. And you're right, but it's not limited to only your standard spiders. That's right, traps can also capture warrior spiders, cave spiders, and even dangling depth dwellers. So the next time you're clearing tier 3 spider dens or even heading down into the caves, if you find kiting the more advanced spiders difficult, bring some traps along. They're pretty cheap anyway. And as a bonus fact, while it's not Don't Starve Together, if you're playing on the Hamlet DLC in the original Don't Starve, traps do work on scorpions, which is exactly what those dumb idiot creatures deserve. I hate those things. Number 4. When placing statues down, equipping armor will help you place them much more neatly. A big problem with building with statues, whether for decoration or making those sweet, sweet indestructible walls, is that when you drop the statue, it tends to go flying off in a direction you totally did not want it to go. Well, if you bring a body slot item with you and equip it instead of just dropping the statue, it will always drop exactly at your feet, making base decoration and wall building so much easier. Number 5. Spiky bushes are actually useful. Many people see spiky bushes and assume that they are a worse version of saplings due to the fact that they hurt you when you harvest them. And during autumn and spring, you would be right. However, spiky bushes do have one ace up their sleeve, or well, I guess it would be multiple aces. They will regrow during winter, and they will not wilt during summer. So it's not an awful idea to have a few of these guys at your base for an emergency twig supply. If the 3 damage per harvest still scares you, just go tame a beefalo, and use it to harvest the twigs from these spiky bushes, since all the damage will go to the beefalo, and because it has 1,000 health and it heals itself, it won't even matter. Number 6. Cooking a live animal over a fire will always result in meat. This one's for you bird eaters out there. So you made your first bird trap and are just salivating at the mouth, excited to get your hands on those free sky morsels. You catch a bird and then swiftly put it down humanely, only to be rewarded with inedible feathers. Yuck. Well, if you're in dire need of food, cooking a live bird over a fire will always provide you with a cooked morsel instead of a feather. This tip is less useful for rabbits since they only convert into morsels anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but beardlings, which is the insane version of rabbits, do have a chance to turn into beard hair, which is inedible. Cooking them live will instead always give you cooked monster meat, which is not very useful for normal characters, but Weber mains may find joy in that. They're always insane anyway, so they're probably going to only see beardlings. Number 7. Pig guards can actually be werepigified. It's well known that werepigs are a lot easier to fight than regular pigs because unlike regular pigs, werepigs are dumb and refuse to kite you. And most of the time you can just stunlock werepigs where you can't stunlock regular pigs. For completely normal pigs, it's super easy to werepigify them. You just give them 4 monster meat, and because they are neutral unless you're playing as Evil, Wartox, Weber, or Wirt, then they will turn into a werepig easy peasy. But sometimes you'll come across these guys. Hostile pigmen that can spawn as a random set piece or sometimes be guarding the terrarium. Instead of eating tons of damage because of their crazy kiting pattern, all you have to do is bait out an attack and then immediately feed them a monster meat, and once you have fed them 4, they will become a much easier to fight and more profitable werepig. Number 8. When fighting Klaus, you can actually cancel the fire attack. This one's for all my fellow Wilson mains out there. If you're running around with a full beard during winter while you're fighting Klaus, you know that Klaus's fire attack is the worst. Well, if you bring an ice staff with you, you can actually just stop Klaus's fire attack completely by freezing the red gem deer as he's channeling it. I did a little extra testing to see if the fire staff canceled out the ice attack because that would be super cool, but sadly it does not. Clay, that would be such a cool feature. Please add it. The fire staff kind of sucks right now as it is anyway, so it would give it some niche usefulness, I guess. Number 9. Fences can be used to convert grass into twigs in a pinch. A fence costs 1 rope and 3 twigs to make, and creates 6 fences. When a fence is broken, it will drop 1 twig, meaning you just converted 3 grass into 3 twigs. Okay, it's a very niche thing, but hey, if you're really struggling for twigs, it could save your run. Who knows? Okay, yeah, no, this one's kind of useless. I just thought it was cool. Whatever, fine, you got me. Moving on. Number 10. Spider hats are actually surprisingly useful. After spending around 30 or so days in your world, you're likely to come across a spider queen. Defeating it, or having it be defeated by something else, there's no shame in that, will reward you with a spider hat. Normally this item will rot on the floor of your base never to be touched because, let's face it, who wants to temporarily LARP as a Weber player? Spiders aren't exactly that good for combat and the hat breaks so quickly. Well, if you have a huge spider infestation that you would like to clear out, perhaps bring this thing along with you. It will allow you to make the spiders break the dens for you, and you can start your own spider civil wars, which will allow you to profit immensely without having to play as Weber, which is nice. I didn't even know this because I used to always ignore this hat, but it also automatically tames the spiders. You don't have to feed them or anything, so you're even better than Weber. Number 11. Pearl can be locked outside of her house. If you've ever done the Lunar questline, you know that Pearl's sleep schedule is among the most annoying part of the entire quest. She has you doing all these fetch quests, but will only be out and about to turn in those quests during the day. Dusk and night will see her sleeping in her house, forcing you to wait until the next day, which can ruin your plans and see you spending more time than you would like sitting and waiting. Well, to counter this, just build walls or place those junk piles you fish up around her island around her house, and Pearl will be locked outside, allowing you to turn in quests during dusk and night, making them slightly more bearable. I would suggest you put a fence gate or something though, because sometimes she may glitch inside, and of course you will still need to repair her house for the quest anyway, so yeah. Number 12. When diving in the ruins, you can actually tell if a glowberry is a depths worm or not based on its moisture. Now this trick doesn't really work when it's raining in the caves for obvious reasons, but during dry periods you can actually figure out if a glowberry is a dangerous depth worm or just a simple lesser glowberry based on its wetness. Hovering over a safe glowberry will show it as being dry with white text, while a buried depth worm will always be wet with blue text. So hopefully using this trick will stop you from getting jump scared. Number 13. You should always burn spiky trees before chopping them down. Spiky trees are unique in that even when burnt, they will still drop their full loot table on top of the charcoal that they normally would drop, which means you can sometimes get 1 charcoal, 1 log, and 1 twig from a burnt spiky tree. This also allows you to chop the spiky tree in 1 chop rather than however many a fresh tree takes, which is definitely more than 1. It's small, but it's really good if you want to max your charcoal gains with more loot. Number 14. The watering can is useful for much more than just farming. While it's true that sadly Clay has nerfed the watering can thermal stone trick that I used to love, it's gone, sadly, the watering can is still one of the strongest summer counters. And that's because it can be used to extinguish fires in a very large area. This can come in clutch when summer decides that your base should suddenly become a pile of ash when you don't want it to be. Number 15. Earthquakes and meteors can destroy items on the ground. Meteors are pretty awful in this game because whenever they land on something, they will most of the time destroy it unless it's a special item or something. This is pretty common knowledge though, and it's why many players tell you to avoid basing in Mosaic or Rocky Land biomes. Did you know, however, that earthquakes can also destroy certain items? The things that earthquakes can destroy is thankfully limited, but it includes most minerals, gold, and even gems, which are not safe on the floor in the caves. So be careful if you plan on living down there and make sure you have chests, because those can't be destroyed by earthquakes. Chests can be destroyed by meteors though, so definitely do not live in the Mosaic or Rocky Land biome. Number 16. The Moonstone is actually one of the best base locations in the game. Have you ever stumbled upon this thing? Well, what if I told you that basing here would allow you to essentially turn off nighttime and overheating within your base? Yes, that's right. Many people will eventually do the Mooncaller event and then pluck the staff out to get their hands on an iridescent gem and never touch this place again. But if you decide to do the event again, but this time don't remove the staff, then it will function as what is essentially an infinite tier 4 endothermic fire. Meaning not only does it provide some very decent light, as you can see, it will also cool you down during summer. All for the cost of one Mooncaller event, which can be cheesed with statues or tingle notes. If you can manage to defeat Dragonfly and make yourself a scaled furnace, congratulations, you just made a complete temperature-proof area equipped with a large light radius, which is pretty awesome. Number 17. Flowers and carrots will regrow. A lot of players, myself included, get into the mindset that they have to save everything. And while saving carrots for later isn't a horrible idea, starving yourself is much worse. Carrots and flowers both seem to regrow during periods of rain, mostly during spring in my testing, and flowers can even spawn from homeless bees. So if you want to force a bunch of wildflowers to spawn in a certain area, go kidnap some bees. I'm not even joking. Number 18. Anything that can be fed will glow if fed glow berries. This ranges from obvious things like beefalo to more obscure things like pets from the rock den or even eye masks, which can be very useful if you don't want to take the sanity penalty from eating the glowberry yourself. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you wish glowberries were real. I kind of wish they were. I feel like they would taste like glass or something. Oh yeah, and since you so kindly subscribed and liked the video, I'll give you a bonus fact. If you stack eye masks in your inventory and feed them all glowberries, you'll glow super duper bright. It's really cool. It's very useless because I don't know why you'd have this many eye masks in your inventory, but you glow so bright, it's awesome. Number 19. Crockpots are very important. If you place 1 monster meat and 3 ice in a crockpot, you just made something that provides 62.5 hunger, with an inedible item and 3 very low food items. That's not all, of course. I can't provide a list of every single good crockpot dish in the game, maybe that's a topic for another video, perhaps even a tier list video, I know people love those. But for now, I just have to say, do not sleep on crockpots. The sooner you learn these and their recipes, the sooner you will thrive and quite literally not starve, which is what the game's telling you to do. Number 20. Fire nettles will not poison you if they are wet. If you're stacking fire nettles for some reason or another, maybe you're going for Pearl's Teas, which at that point you're not a new player, so I guess if you're a new player this doesn't really matter to you. But either way, when you do decide to start stacking fire nettles for whatever reason, you can actually harvest them risk-free during most of spring because when it rains they will get wet and they just won't sting you at all. You can even walk around them during the rain and they don't sting you. Unfortunately, this does not work with watering cans. I don't know why, it just only works during spring rain for some reason, but it's useful nonetheless. Number 21. Shell bells will tend to crops. If you're tired of moving your gramophone around or even manually tending to your crops and don't yet have a friendly fruit fly, a good solution, while also making your base a little more lively, is to place some shell bells around in the middle of your crop plots. Every once in a while, just walk through your farm and voila, you're now a budget wormwood. Congratulations. Number 22. Mobs are actually more aggressive during spring. If you've ever walked through a spider forest or fought some killer bees during spring, you may have noticed this. And no, it's not your imagination. Mobs are actually much more aggressive during spring. They'll aggro at you from much further away and stay locked on you for much longer. It's a hidden mechanic that proves to be very annoying more often than not, but you do have to kind of deal with it, sadly. Number 23. You can roll back unraveled skins. Now, this is not a game tip, but it's more of a meta tip for those of you who are collecting skins. If you ever accidentally unravel a skin that you do care about, you can log into your Clay account and click the roll back button to reverse the unraveling, which can be very helpful if you have very fat fingers, like I do. Sometimes I click the wrong buttons. I've never accidentally unraveled something. You do have to click a lot of buttons to do that, but I don't know. Number 24. You can guarantee a gland drop from spiders. If you're desperately in need of spider gland and happen to have a dead friend with you, you can have them haunt a spider, and if you defeat the spider while it's glowing, it will always, 100% of the time, drop a spider gland, which is conveniently what you need to make a telltale heart and revive your fallen friend. Number 25. You can pause the game to rearrange your inventory risk-free. Now, this only works if you're playing solo, which ironically, despite the game being called Don't Starve Together, most people do. But if you press P, you can actually pause your game and rearrange your inventory without fear of being hit. You can even do this in the middle of a boss fight, which is really nice. On console, this is still possible, and for controllers, I believe the button is one of the triggers, which will automatically pause the game if you're playing solo. Number 26. The Pig King can accept niche and useless items for gold. If you've ever been down to the ruins, you may have defeated quite a few slurpers, which are really easy to defeat. But slurper pelt is a largely useless item. You can make the belt of hunger with it, but if you're at the point where you're defeating slurpers, you probably don't really care too much about hunger. Thankfully, slurper pelt can be traded to the Pig King for much more useful gold. And you can even trade bunny puffs to the Pig King to get 2 gold, though those are a little more useful, so I would wager a little bit more caution for that. Number 27. Fire is overpowered. When an enemy is lit on fire, like from an attack with a torch, most of them will react by running around and panicking, allowing you to either flee or defeat them incredibly easy because they won't fight back. This is very useful for swarms of enemies and even works on clockworks for some reason despite them being metallic. Just be careful because if you defeat something that's on fire, all of their drops will turn to ash or cooked versions of themselves if they drop a food that can be cooked. So use this as a last resort, and this should be obvious, but it will not work on most bosses. No, you can't just cheese bosses with fire. I'm sure Clay thought of that. Number 28. Clean sweeping destroys shadow hands. If you're sick of dealing with shadow hands during the night and you just so happen to have a fire pit skin or an endothermic fire pit skin, just leave a clean sweeper near your fire, and then if you have the music box playing showing you that the hands are coming, just sweep your fire pit and all of them will despawn. This tip is unfortunately pay to win, since I'm pretty sure you do need a fire pit skin to do it. Although you do get a free fire pit skin if you own Reign of Giants, so there's that, and this is the skin, by the way, you're looking at it right now. Number 29, and this is a big one, you can swap your character mid-game. This is a surprisingly unknown ability, and I get more people commenting, hey, I did not know you could do this, than I would ever expect. But if you upgrade your Florid Postern by crafting Portal Paraphernalia at a lunar altar, which is on the lunar island, or the Celestial Orb, which falls from the sky after a certain amount of days, and then once you've upgraded your portal, you can make a Moonrock idol and offer it to that portal to swap your character mid-game. This is very powerful if you, say, want to stock up on Warly dishes and then play as a character who can dish out tons of damage, or get Wickerbottom's books and then switch to Maxwell to read them all and be super OP. The things you can do with this are quite limitless. It's really nice, and I'm surprised more people don't know about this. Number 30. Lure plants take smolder priority. If you want to protect your base from summer's fiery wrath, but don't want to cover your base in ugly ice flingamatics, then lure plant bulbs will actually take smothering priority. Smothering? Smoldering, whatever, you know what I mean. That means if there is a lure plant somewhat close to your base, it will always catch on fire first. So, if you place a lure plant on a boat, it won't be able to spawn eyes, and if you place a flingo on that boat, congratulations, you just made that entire coastal area summer-proof. Well, at least for the fire part, that is. You will still overheat. Number 31. Certain items must be stored in a chest. If you're anything like me, the idea of wasting 3 boards on a chest is absolutely blasphemous. In a game where you can just use the floor as your chest, you can just use the floor as your chest. But unfortunately, some items cannot be stored on the ground. Ashes will blow away after a certain period of time, rot will wash away in the rain, fireflies will become their regular firefly entity, which could actually be a good thing if you're trying to make your base prettier at night, and of course, all living things will just drop as their live self. Even if you hate the idea of making a chest, you will need one for most of these things, and there's probably a few that I'm forgetting about. But yeah, you will need chests at some point. And if you have moles living near your base, you'll definitely need chests because they will eat all the minerals. They won't eat them, they'll just store them in holes. And they will blow your base up if you happen to leave gunpowder lying around. So don't leave gunpowder lying around if you've got moles. Or better yet, just put gunpowder in chests. Leaving gunpowder on the floor is a bit of a liability. Number 32. Tall birds can be moved. Yes, you heard me right. Tall birds are some of the best food you can get in this game once you know how to fight them. You get 2 big meats and an egg that never spoils. The problem is that they tend to be located in meteor fields, which I've already said is a horrible place to base near. So, what do you do about that, huh? Well, all you have to do to relocate a tall bird is to steal their egg and then burn their nest while they are alive. Then lead the tall bird to wherever you want it to live, and then you can have a tall bird nest where you led it to. It's that simple. If you're playing as Winona, you could even automate these tall bird farms, or I don't know, you can do some cool stuff with this. It's a cool tech. I like knowing this. Number 33. Beefalo can go extinct. While it may be tempting to use Beefalo for base defense, you may want to be a little cautious, especially when using them for dealing with the seasonal bosses. Beefalo do reproduce, and funny enough, they reproduce via budding, so you only need one to replenish the herd, but if for whatever reason the last Beefalo in your world is slain, that's it. That world will never ever see a Beefalo again. To be honest, I'm kind of surprised that Clay hasn't implemented a workaround for this, like with Volt Goats, where they can be found via the hunt system. Maybe they will in the future, but for now, be careful with your Beefalo. For hound attacks, they're pretty safe if there's a decent amount of them, but if their numbers are dwindling, let them be for a while and let them replenish themselves. And finally, number 34. The trade-in is an absolute scam. You're statistically much better off unraveling any skins you get and then trading them instead of just giving 9 of them to this guy and playing a gambling game to see what you get. You know, that is, of course, unless you think you'll hit it big. Who knows, man? You might be a huge winner and get an anthropomorphic feline blue nightgown. Whoa! And yeah, there you go. Some tips and tricks, since I know there's probably a lot of new players because, well, the game is currently like $1 at the time of me making this script. Anyways, be sure to like, subscribe, and click this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye!